when you look to grow a firm and you're starting to add people to the team and adding everybody. So we've added 3 people in the last 6 months. Basically, we doubled the team. And now we're going to most likely do the same in the next 6 months. Probably add another couple people to the team. And again, so long as everything goes well, which we never know how projects are going to land or whatever, but should double the team again by the end of the year. And we'll just see how this whole year goes. So with that, in bringing people on and training them up and everything else that we do, when you add team members, you've got a lot of training to go through. So the things for that is, how do you bring team members on? How do you train them? And what do you assign them basically out of the gate? And then the other thing that we're looking at, as we're going to have interns that come on to the team this summer, is, okay, even if we maybe don't have all the projects or the right projects to put them on, can we give them a project specifically for them to execute over the summer, regardless of how many projects we end up having? And so that's really what I think about, especially for interns, is like, okay, what skill set can we give them? What piece can we break off for them to do that's a project that maybe we've been looking to do for a while? We just don't have the bandwidth basically to execute this project, right? It's going to be a great thing for our interns to do and categorize them, and they become very familiar with either software or codes or whatever, right, that you're going to have them work on as a project that's specific to them. And yeah, you might have them work on actual live projects during that phase, but what can you assign them that's independent of any projects that you might have going on? So that's what I like to think about for interns. Then for full-time hires, it's also, how do you onboard, train, and make them become basically productive members of the team? And how do you do that as quickly as possible? I know I talk about training a lot, but it is basically the foundation of, in engineering firms, how we're able to move forward. And then the other kicker that we're going to have in our training is, how do you interface with contractors, right? What do contractors mean to us? And for vertical design services, like, what role does the contractor end up playing in our ecosystem? And you got to remember, for us in vertical design services, like, the contractor is the center of everything that we do, right? The contractors are the guys. The contractors are who we look to for projects and who we partner with on projects. As we do everything design build, that means the electrical contractor is our client, right? So we're going to use the materials that they want, the fixtures that they want, the vendors that they want. We're going to help them on that procurement side, basically, in dealing with, hey, this will work or that'll work, working closely with distribution and vendors and all the manufacturing partners that they have established relationships with. That's who we're going to ultimately work with on behalf of the contractor or with the contractor, so that we can deliver a great turnkey project for them. So we're going to have training modules that go over all of that, right? How supply chain, logistics, all the rest of it end up working in this industry. And that's going to give people a much better understanding of basically the whole landscape of construction than you're going to get in any other engineering or design firm, since most engineers, architects don't end up dealing with pricing, when that's basically the thing that contractors live and die by, is pricing, material pricing, procurement, putting proposals together, dealing with dollar values on a very regular basis. So that's probably the biggest thing between like design build and your traditional like engineering firms, is dealing with costs and money and dollar values, where we are dealing with that much more regularly than, we deal with it all the time, versus like a traditional MEP firm rarely deals in numbers, and they only see it as like the budgetary numbers that are getting put out for big projects. So as we go through this and we design out our training modules and our training programs for our internal team, we're also doing it to, again, enhance our relationship with the contractors, with what they're doing, who their ultimate client is, what they're working with, and then their suppliers and distribution. So we've got to perform a great engineering service. We've got to move at the speed of the contractor. And then on top of that, we also have to understand, their requirements, how to talk to them, how to deal with them as a client, right? What are our kind of boundaries that we're going to live and play in, and which ones aren't we going to do? And so how do we convey that to our team to say, basically how to approach our clients for that, right? As somebody coming in, how do we instill in them our values as the founders, as the guys that grew the company, into something that they ultimately would reflect to our clients as they become more client facing or take on more client facing roles over time. So it's not just the hard skills that we're like training into guys, but also some softer skills, some broader industry knowledge that's really just taken us a long time to learn and piece together ourselves versus it being like formally taught to us. So it's really going to be a different approach that we're taking than your traditional MEP firm, and to do that in like a categorized manner so that people can get the most out of the training. And then how we deliver that, I have some ideas for it. I'm not going to talk about it here, but how we do that in a way that really enhances the learning and improvement and speed of learning for our teams, and that they can somewhat do on their own time without directly being in the office. So a lot of cool things that we're working on, planning on, to ultimately improve the training for the team, which means that we're going to be able to onboard, train, and deliver projects faster as we move forward. So training is a huge piece for us. That's going to be really the next big initiative we have internally to help everybody out. We've got a ton of it down, as you guys know, in the years I've talked about training and improvement for what we do. So we're only going to get better. We're only going to improve it. And then our teams are going to benefit greatly because of it. So all the things I've been saying here, we're just doing and continuing to execute on a bigger and better scale than we ever have. So that's what I've got for training and development and how we make our teams better.